The thrill of winning is the best as a Christmas morning. I'm Kylie Jenner, and this is how you play poker.
Hey, it's Alec Torelli, professional poker player and coach. I like this enthusiasm from Kylie where you can just see it in her eyes describing the thrill of playing poker. I really do feel like that. A lot of my clients, the people that I work with, especially people that were former competitive athletes or that A-type personality and they can no longer compete at their sport, or maybe they're retired and they've sold their business, but they still have that 25-year-old hungry person inside of them. Poker is electrifying and it lights up that part of you many people can't find anywhere else. There's also the sense of camaraderie where you're playing with other people, you make friends, and you're all stuck at a table together for a very long time, and it's very exciting. Every hand is stimulating. So there's that immediate feedback between the quality of your decisions and the dopamine that you get back from winning the pot, or the pain that you suffer from losing the pot. And so there's this continual emotional roller coaster in every hand, but also on the longer arc throughout the session. And poker is just so exciting. So it's really cool to see it in other people like Kylie that are very excited about this great game.
I think I'm very competitive and I like to win, so it just feels really good when you're up. This is like my normal poker outfit.
Leaving the outfit aside, I love what she says about the competitiveness. In other games and in other competitive environments, it's really, really hard to win. It's hard to have any positive reinforcement. Think about chess. It's a great game. I love chess. I actually learned chess before poker. My dad taught me when I was like 5 or 6, and I fell in love with competitive games. The problem with chess, the challenge is, if you don't have like a classic background or a solid training in chess, you just have no chance of beating anyone. Winning is really important for positive reinforcement, but the game is not even fun. You're just gonna lose in 5 or 10 or 20 moves. It's gonna be blatantly obvious that you have zero chance. And there's also no community element. But even other games too, like tennis, if you're not equal or near equal to the person you're playing with, the game is just not fun at all. Not only are you never gonna win, but it's just the rallying isn't fun. And also in other sports, in other competitive environments, like basketball, if you're the player that is not good on a team, it's frustrating because you're hurting the team. Everybody else is frustrated with you because you're letting the team down. And not only are you not winning, but you're also not enjoying that experience. Poker is very different. It's the perfect blend because it's an individual game. You are one person with your own interests, but you're in this sort of communal environment where you have competing interests with the other people, but you have that team element, or you have the excitement of being around other people, because most of the time you're not in the hand with another person. So you're only competing intermittent times where you're in the hand with the other person. The rest of the time, you're sort of on the other people's team. You don't have any competing interests. You actually are sort of like on the same team. You're having fun, you're connecting, you're trying to bond. And so like it's really this perfect blend of all these things. But I think what Kylie's saying that's really cool, you could channel that competitive energy into something and you could receive positive feedback. You could receive that dopamine. And it's really exciting because poker, it's a game of skill, but there's an element of luck. So it gives you the opportunity to win. One of the reasons I'm so excited about poker and I got to where I am playing professionally for 20 years is because the first time I went to play, I was invited to a home game with friends. I was 16 years old. I didn't know how to play. I wasn't good. I didn't have a strategy. But because there's an element of luck, I won my first time playing. I won $12. That was extremely intoxicating. If I went to go play chess with all my friends or a sport I had never played, I would just lose and be like, this isn't fun, and I wouldn't have tried. So I think it brings out that competitive element, but the cool thing about poker is that anyone on any given day can win. So you always have the opportunity to feel exhilaration inside of yourself and reignite that competitive spirit. And then of course, what I'm super passionate about at Conscious Poker, my training site, what I do is help people improve the quality of their decisions so they could feel that more often. They could win more often. They could channel that competitive drive and ultimately grow and become better decision makers and better poker players. So it gives you that room for growth, but it also does ignite that very early on because there is an element of luck.
The goal of Texas Hold'em is to make the best 5-card hand from 2 cards you've been dealt and 5 shared cards in the middle of the table, or act like you have the best hand.
I like what she says here about acting. You can have the best hand. That's just luck, right? Like if you get dealt 2 aces and there's an ace on the board, you just have the best hand. Anyone can play well when they have what's called the nuts, meaning the best hand possible. But what's key about poker is you could win without having the best hand. In fact, if you look at pros and you look at their stats and you go very granular, you look at the way that they win pots, there's this phenomenon called winning without showdown. Win the pot without having to reveal your cards, especially in the tournament format, which Kylie says she loves. It's very common that if you're a really good tournament player, most of the pots you win are without showdown. So this just proves the skill element and the finesse element of poker. You're sort of convincing others through your betting patterns, through your bet sizing, through your confidence, through your image at the table, through your posture, through your aura, through the way that you play, through your dominance, that you have a better hand than them. You're taking calculated risks by choosing the right spots to risk your chips, to apply pressure, to re-raise other people, to force them to fold, to win those chips without cards. And that's the exciting thing that she's talking about here. You feel that excitement when you make a move and you steal a pot. You win a pot you shouldn't have won, and that's where you find an edge. And that is incredibly exciting.
The first way you can win a hand is a high card, like an ace. Next, there's a pair of cards, like 2 8s. You could also have a 2 pair, like 2 5. 5s and 2 9s.
So here she goes through the rules, pretty rudimentary, just articulating category of hands. But I think the next layer of that I go over at Conscious Poker is the requirement of starting hands. These are the hands I could make in a 5-card poker hand, but what are the 2 cards that if I'm dealt, I want to play? And that's the first decision you make at the poker table, which I think is really important. What's the minimum threshold for a starting hand that is worth playing? So I talk about that a lot more on my Conscious Poker channel, so check that out if you want more strategy.
What makes the best vibe for a poker night is lots of tequila, good music, and snacks.
This is where I think it's clear that it's very likely the types of games Kylie is playing in are home games. I have a lot of experience with these, a lot of clients that play in various types of these games. And if they're in, let's say LA, for example, there's a very popular home game scene in LA or New York. These are typically elite, high stakes private games, almost like a nightclub environment. There'll be a DJ sometimes, there's almost always a private chef, amazing 5-star food, there's waitresses, there's masseuses, there's music, sometimes there's all the other vices, leave it to your imagination. And there's a lot of party scene that goes on because people want to have fun while they're playing. And so a lot of the ways to get people to go play in these games is like all of the other things aside from the poker. So it's kind of like a casino, right? The casino doesn't bait you to coming by telling you, hey, come gamble at our tables. The casino, frankly, attracts you for everything except the gambling. They make money from the gambling. So it's very much like that in the home game scene. One of the most incongruent things is the idea of tequila and nightclub and the party atmosphere with playing poker and winning at poker. I'm nothing opposed to it. It's not like I'm judging or I don't have a problem with it. It's antithetical to winning. Here's what I mean by that. If you watch high stakes pros on live streams, WSOP, Triton, Hustler Casino Live, etc., what you'll see is that the pros are very, very composed and focused and studious and disciplined. They're probably drinking green tea and have meditated before the game, worked out, and their diet is on point. They're exercising to be in an elite peak performance state, to be a mental performance athlete and play as well as possible. The old image of the drinker, smoker, degenerate gambler is not really modern in the poker scene today. In fact, I would say the opposite of that. It's almost like a mental performance thing. And it's becoming very popular to do that, to give yourself an edge over the competition. You're playing for millions of dollars. Every decision could make or break you hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in EV. You're not going to be drinking alcohol and partying and snacking to achieve that result. Your goal is mental performance. Your goal is elite peak performance. You're going to do the things that are going to get you into that state. And that involves basically treating yourself like an athlete and doing all the things that entails. If you measure the best environment by dopamine and excitement and fun and stimulation, of course, these things are going to amplify that, right? It's more fun to have that environment. I've been in those environments. It's a party atmosphere. And so you do have to fit in and have fun and whatever, but just be mindful that every shot of tequila you take will impact the quality of your decision to make the most amount of money at the poker table. So it's like finding that balance and also understanding your intention. What is your goal in poker? And a lot of times when I work with clients, I tell them, you need to play fewer hands. You need to be a lot tighter. You need to stop calling all these raises. You need to stop chasing with all these draws. A lot of people go there to have fun after work, and so they're used to associating poker with an outlet, and so they're drinking beers at the table and whatever. You can do all those things. If you want to make more money, these are the things that are going to help you. And they're like, hey, that's not as fun. And it's like, well, you told me you wanted to make more money. If you go there and you want to have fun, you're going to have a different output than the strategy or the discipline required to make money. It's kind of like eating. If your goal is to have a six-pack and be in the best shape possible, you're going to choose a different diet than if your goal is to enjoy the food the most possible, right? You're going to have cheesecake and potato chips, right? So it's more enjoyable to have that than broccoli, but it depends on the output you want to have at the poker table. So it's, again, I'm not judging anyone. There's no right answer. There's only a right answer for you. But what is important is to have congruency and to be aligned with what your intention is for going into the poker table and realizing that everything in life is a conscious trade. The more you want one output, the more you're going to have different inputs to get that output. So this is the thing that I would say, like, I understand this. This is a part of poker, but it is not a part of competitive poker at all. I travel the world, play a lot of high stakes tournaments and cash games. It's pretty much zero part of high stakes competitive poker. If you want to win, go with the performance. If you want to have the most fun, you do you. Hopefully that helps.
I like to play with people who are really passionate about the game, like I am, because sometimes people will come and they'll just kind of want to chit chat, and you're like, we gotta focus.
I like what Kylie says here about the passion of the game. You can really see it in her eyes. She's really passionate about the game. She has like genuine excitement. You can tell like she wants the poker when she's there. And this kind of goes to the point I was saying before. When you go to a poker table, when you have a luxurious high stakes private scenes, people come for a lot of different reasons. Some people come for the vices. Some people come for the poker. They actually care about the poker. And some people come for the food. Some people come for the camaraderie, to make friends, to network, for business deals. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why someone could go to a poker game. Some people go to get away from their family, their problems. There's a lot of reasons why people show up at a poker table. One of the beauties is that like it's sort of like a very inclusive area. It brings together people from all walks of life to do a lot of different things. But there are different types of poker environments. So one thing I will say is if you're going to play poker, kind of understand the nuance of the game that you're going to. And one way to think about it is like a restaurant. If you want to go to a restaurant, you have to understand exactly what type of restaurant you're going to. You can go to a 3-star Michelin restaurant, or you can go to a fast casual restaurant, or you can go to a street truck and get amazing street food tacos. All those foods could be equally good. The street food could be better than the Michelin star restaurant, and it really depends on what you want, what environment you want. But poker is very much the same. There is not like one poker environment. environment, but there are different poker environments, and it's sort of up to you to find which one you're most aligned with and what your intention is for going to the game. Personally, to experience all the poker environments, most of the time I love the one that's competitive. I want to bring out the competitor, the champion, the warrior inside me and compete at the table. When I go to the game, for me, it's about the poker. I don't care about any of the ancillary stuff. I care about making the best decision possible, outplaying everybody, and winning the most I can in the game. That's why I play poker. I'm competitive. I'm a pro. I love competing at the poker table. I also do love making friends and meeting other people. I think that's probably, depending on which environment I go to, that's like one of the most exciting things, is that you can meet other people that are like-minded, and that is truly incredible. Especially if you're in a city like New York, LA, whatever, and there's a meetup poker game, this group is hosting it that are all going to play poker for like an entrepreneur thing, a business thing, an investing thing. They'll have a poker meetup game. That is a great atmosphere to be in, and you do have to be mindful. Of course, you're going to win and compete in every hand, but it is largely a networking environment, so you have to be mindful of the energy of the poker game you're going to.
So now you're looking at your 2 cards plus the 3 cards on the table. Now it's time to decide, can I make something good with this? I would probably check at this point, but I do have something.
So I really like this from Kylie. You can tell that she's trying to give away strategy about what she would do in a certain spot, but at the same time balancing that with saying, just because I did this action doesn't mean I have nothing. And that is really important, like first principle in poker. People often think like, if I check, I have nothing, if I bet, I have something. But the key here, what she's articulating, is a solid strategy. I would check here, but that doesn't mean I have nothing. I would also check with my good hands. And so one principle you'll see in poker is that you're going to be what's called balanced. You're going to play your strong hands like your weak hands and your weak hands like your strong hands. And that's where the strategy starts to get fun, is you don't just telegraph the strength of your hand by your actions. You use deception, and it's ethical deception because the game is about deception. So it's totally fair. It's part of the rules. Everybody does it. And who does it better gains an edge. So this is where the game goes beyond the rules and actually starts to get really fun, because you're using your wit and your intellect and psychology to outplay your opponents. And that's very fun.
If you're just getting started with poker, I recommend you have a drink, relax.
There's multiple ways to relax. You can use breathing exercises. You can just be relaxed. You can be confident in yourself such that you don't have to have a drink to go into the environment. You could also have a drink and go in there with the intention of having fun. Again, it's important to be mindful of the environment you're in and why you're going there to play and what you're trying to do. It is great to just relax and have a good time, not put too much pressure on yourself, regardless of whether you need alcohol to do that or not, and just go there to have fun. Also, if you're a complete beginner and you're just starting out and playing poker, it's going to be obvious. And so just telling people, hey, this is my first time playing, any tips or strategy would really help. I'd like advice here. Obviously, you can't ask for advice during a hand. There's a basic rule in poker, only one player to any hand. So while you're in the hand, you have to make your own decisions. But after the hand, you can ask other people, what would you do here? Well, what do you think? Was that a good move? People are very friendly and open to helping other people learn the game. And that's kind of a common poker etiquette thing. Don't be shy at all. Go there and have fun. Explore the game. Give yourself a chance. If you do want those basic charts, though, the hand rankings is like a very, very basic first step. But again, the main charts to have are the pre-flop charts, meaning what cards are you going to play when you get your first 2 hands? What hands are good enough to justify raising? Otherwise, you're going to fold. We have those at unspoken.com. You can download those as well. They're totally free. And that's a really good cheat sheet to have. Basic memorization. Kind of like your multiplication chart. 9 times 6 is 54. You know that not because you multiplied it out by hand, but just because you've memorized it. And pre-flop charts are basically the same. Sort of memorize what hands you're going to play. And that automatically sort of ensures you're starting every hand with an edge or with the right footing or going in the right direction. And that simplifies a lot of your decisions. So hope you enjoyed this. You definitely want to play the best hands possible.
10, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace in the same suit. Your chances of being dealt this hand are 30,000 to 1, so good luck with that.
Don't wait for a royal flush though. It's going to take a lifetime to get one, especially if you're only playing live. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Subscribe to this channel. I'll put out more content here. Leave your thoughts in a question below. If you want to get started on your poker journey, happy to help with resources or information to help you guys get started. It is my mission to help grow the game, bring on millions of people to poker so that they can learn the game and hopefully through the game of poker, make better decisions. More content available at alectorelli.com about how I use poker principles and apply them to life and investing as well. Thanks for your attention. I'll see you in the next one.